So the Sunday games for round 3 of the Champions Cup, there are 3 of them on the Sunday. And if the bookies are to be believed, none of the away teams need bother showing up because they're all going to get done by at least 17 points. It's the closest game according to the bookies. So I'm sure Cardiff, Castres and Leicester fans would beg to disagree. We'll see if their sides can lift. But yeah, that's how the predictions are going from the guys who make all the money. We'll have a look. I have got the Island gear on today. I thought about wearing Leinster gear, but I thought in a Munster video, probably not a good idea. Anyway, that hasn't stopped me wearing Osprey's gear in a Scarlets based video before. So yeah, first one with Saracens hosting Cardiff. Saracens are top of their group, 2 wins on the trot. For Cardiff, it's 1 win and 1 loss. So I think yeah, Saracens are first and Cardiff are third. Saracens well ahead on 9 points. Cardiff on 4, just behind the second place team over in pool number 3. So yeah, like I say, 17 points is the closest for this game, but the bookies have got this one by the biggest margin, which is a whopping 21 points. They're saying Saracens are going to beat Cardiff by... I mean, I've had a look at the lineups. You look at some of the guys who are in the team for Saracens. Marco Vunipola is back and he's starting. Ezekwe and Skelton are in the second row. There's no Itoje this week. I think he is injured. But Farrell is back in the number 10 jersey. Maitland's getting a start. There's no Liam Williams this week. I think is he recovering from injury? I forget, but he's not been selected. So Good is at 15. It is a pretty tough looking Saracens lineup. Suppose it always is. They're one of the top teams in the Premiership kind of year in, year out. So it's to be expected. But you look at the Cardiff lineup. Anscombe gets a start at 10. From memory, when they got their win, and was it the first round, he was at 15. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, he's at 10 after impressing for Wales at 10. So we'll see if he can continue to that good form. Jared Evans is in the midfield. The front row is Gill, Myhill and Lewis. So we'll see how they hold up against that Saracens kind of big beefy pack. But yeah, the bookies have got this one being pretty one-sided. I'm hoping it'll be a bit closer than all that. But yeah, an away trip to London is never going to be an easy one. So we'll see. You guys can kind of give me the inside word on if the bookies numbers are anything to be kind of believed, or if you think it'll be a wee bit closer. The next one, Munster hosting Castres. Apparently these teams meet a lot in the Champions Cup. From what I read, they've met more than any combination of sides in the comp. So they should be pretty familiar with each other. Again, it's 17 points that they say this one is going to be decided by, with Munster the overwhelming favourites. Munster are first in the pool. They're undefeated. 1 win and a draw. There was a kind of expectation that when they went away to Exeter they would get beaten at the start, but they put in a really good shift and managed to hold off. Castres have had a win and a loss, so they're in second. So it's a battle at the top of the pool, but it's 7 points plays 5 points, so there's not too much between the two teams. But from what a lot of you guys have said and a fair bit of what I've read, Castres tend to not play their top teams in the European comp, so we'll see how their side goes for this one. In terms of the players, Munster, I mean, they're bringing the big guns for this one. You got Carberry at 10, Conor Murray's at 9. I haven't seen Conor Murray play since Australia. I believe he played last week in the Pro 14, but I haven't seen him play, so it's going to be a pleasure if I can get my eyeballs on that one. Tyke Burns in the second row, Mahoney's in the back row, along with TJ Stander. It's a pretty tough looking team. A lot of those guys you're more used to seeing in this jersey half the time. So yeah, top guys. For Castres, 32-year-old Scott Spedding is at 15. Apparently they have only made like 5 changes though, Castres, from the team that's been playing in the top 14. So it's not like a mass changes to a B team. Udapaleta, excuse the pronunciation if that is incorrect, continues on at 10 where he's been playing recently, but there's no Steve Murphy, who apparently in the top, was it the top or is it the European Champions Cup? He's been one of the in terms of stats, one of the best kind of meter gaining players, and he's not selected, so that's a bit of a pity. I think they said Munster have not lost at home in 10 games. They won 10 in a row, so it's kind of no wonder that Castres are predicted to lose by 17 points or more. But again, I'll take any insights from you guys who are more familiar with that French team as to whether they're likely to cause an upset, or you think Munster should get it done pretty comfortably. I mean, just looking at the names, I'm obviously more familiar with the Irish guys than the French guys, but that's a pretty mean-looking Munster team. So I would be surprised if they didn't get a win. But hey, in sports, anything can happen. You still got to do the job on the day. So let's hope they knuckle down, just get it done. For those guys, for the Castres guys, they'll suppose if they can get some points early, they might be able to unsettle Munster, but as I said, the bookies aren't giving them much of a shot. The last one, Racing 92, taking on Leicester Tigers. Racing at the top of their pool, 2 wins. This is the pool with this is pool number 4 with Scarlets and Ulster. So Scarlets not doing so good. There's at the moment Racing are unbeaten, so they're the top dog, but Ulster just got a win as well today, so it's going to be an interesting one to watch to see how they go. Racing 2 wins, Leicester a win and a loss. So it's first against third in this pool, but Ulster having played a game already, so it's up to Leicester to kind of try and keep pace and not fall behind those 2 teams, because there's a pretty big gap back to Scarlets, who are still winless. So I think Leicester would be doing pretty well to get a win, because again, 17 points is what the bookies are saying. It's that familiar story this week. So they're not being given a whole lot of hope. Looking at the lineups, Zebo is starting on the wing for Racing, so he's always going to be a danger man. Finn Russell's at 10, another danger man. Gomez Sar's in the front row along with Chazonneau in the rest of the 4-pack. So yeah, that Racing team certainly has a fair few top players, and since I've been naming that Racing team, I can hear my daughter, who is teething, crying in the background, so perhaps she is not a Racing fan. I'll move on to Leicester. Maybe she'll be a bit happier. Tadafu Polata now gets a start in the number 2 jersey. Cole is alongside him. Kalamafoni's in the 4-pack. Tamua and Tuilangi are 12 and 13. So that's kind of an interesting midfield combo. You got your playmaking man and your kind of wrecking ball. So we'll see how Tuilangi goes. I'm always watching that guy with his fitness. I'm hoping he can stay fit for a good stretch of time heading into Six Nations and then World Cup, because if he's fit, England are going to be looking a lot better. Johnny May's playing. Ford starts and he's captain. So a fair few big names for Leicester playing, but as I said, 17 points is what's predicted to happen here, and it's not going Leicester's way according to the bookies. So I hope it's all a bit closer than that. As much as it is fun to see a team put on a whole bunch of tries in terms of entertainment value, it is a wee bit nicer if it's close for a bit longer. If it's a bit of a blowout, it's all well and good if that's your team, but as the neutral, which I am watching all these games, it'd be nice to kind of be on my edge of the seat for some of the games. But the parity so far from what I've seen in the Champions Cup, as I've told some of you guys before, it's the first time I've really sat down and watched it week in, week out. Like, I've always paid attention to it, but only on the kind of periphery. As I'm actually watching as many games as I can, there does seem to be a fairly good level of parity with the odd blowout, but I'm hoping this Sunday's games will all be at least fairly competitive for 60 plus minutes. We'll see how they go. You guys let me know your thoughts on the squads, how you think these teams are going to go. Can you see a potential upset of all these 3? Which one is the most likely? According to the bookies, Cardiff Saracens is the least likely, but I guess we'll see how things go. You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.